Pacquiao. This is Raven, and you're watching Dontaesboxingnation.
Ladies and gentlemen, bout number 8 on your bout card, your 2014 Silver Gloves champion, 12-13 age, 100-pound weight class, boxing, out of the red corner, Manny Pacquiao.
Dontaesboxingnation, what's going on, guys? Well, there were 3 winners this Saturday, and Chris Algieri wasn't one of them. So congratulations to Manny Pacquiao, my son for winning the Silver Glove State Tournament, and my older son for winning his first scrimmage wrestling bout. All of this took place on Saturday, so it was an extremely busy Saturday for me, from 6 o'clock in the morning leading all the way up to the main event of the Pacquiao versus Algieri fight. Okay, so let's go ahead and get in. Now, for those of you guys subscribe to me and watch my videos, you know I dropped a video a couple days ago where I said the reason why Manny Pacquiao is moving down to 140, the reason why Freddie Roach wanted him to move down to 140, because they feel that they will have an advantage at 140. They want to go back to knocking fighters out. And we'll see if that advantage pays off. That's what I said in the video, pretty much, right? So it turns out fighting a smaller guy out of smaller division who really had no knockouts was a major advantage for Manny Pacquiao. He took advantage of it, and he did what he was supposed to do against a fighter like that. Now, I didn't think that Manny Pacquiao was going to be able to do what he was supposed to do against a fighter like that. I was leaning towards Algieri to pull off the upset. I thought his jab, his foot movement would give Manny Pacquiao a lot of problems. And you know what's so funny about that is if you watch the fight, for the most part, Chris Algieri's foot movement and his defense did give Manny Pacquiao a lot of problems. The only problem for Chris is his offense wasn't giving Manny Pacquiao too many problems. Because I think from the first round, maybe the first couple rounds, what happened was Chris Algieri, he got a taste of the speed combined with the power. And that's where the dynamic aspects came in the fight, because Chris Algieri was forced to respect Manny Pacquiao. I don't know if I could really say he was forced to respect him, but he did respect him soon as he got a dose or a taste of that speed combined with the power once again. Now let me just rewind for a second. There was also a video I did a day before the fight. You guys may remember it was on a Freddie Roach video that I did where I talked about the weigh-in. Now in that video, I talked about how surprised I was to find out that Chris Algieri didn't make weight. That was alarming, okay? Because once again, this guy is a fitness guru. You know, his regular 9-to-5 job, he works as a personal trainer, okay? He specializes in getting people the results that they want. So for him not to be able to make weight, and Manny Pacquiao makes weight easy like he always does, you gotta commend Manny Pacquiao for that. He always makes weight. But as for Chris Algieri, it just seemed to me like a bad sign when he couldn't make weight. I also said in that video previously that, you know, sometimes we see people not make weight and they perform very well, and others, they don't perform so well. Now, this is not to suggest that Chris Algieri lost his fight because he didn't make weight. The only thing I'm saying is, obviously, it didn't help the situation, okay? Now, after watching the fight, I got home pretty late, uploaded some videos. By the time I uploaded about 4 videos, it was about 2 or 3 in the morning. So I tried to just read a couple comments, get a little bit of feedback before I went to sleep. Now, a lot of comments, and not even just my own comments, but even from websites, a lot of people, they're saying this was a cherry-picked opponent. Manny Pacquiao, he moved down to a smaller weight class so that he can have an advantage over a guy who had no experience and had no power, no knockouts, 8 knockouts, in 20 fights. Now, a lot of that may be true, but at the same time, I actually give Manny Pacquiao a lot of credit for figuring out a guy that moved around the ring. It's yet to be seen if Manny Pacquiao was only able to take advantage of this situation because Chris didn't have a whole lot of power to demand Manny Pacquiao's respect. I mean, we just have to see what happens as Manny Pacquiao steps up in competition and fights a real fighter like Floyd Mayweather or a real fighter at 140. So going back to the fight, let me give you guys just a little quick summary of what I was thinking when I was watching the fight. Around the first 3 rounds, because I only watched the fight once, because this is not a fight that I recorded or ordered on pay-per-view. So anyway, I'm just going off of memory. But the first 3 rounds, it looked to me like Manny Pacquiao was winning those rounds, but Chris Algieri was doing a good job of avoiding all of Manny Pacquiao's biggest shots. The only punch that was really landing at the time was Manny Pacquiao's jab, which is surprising to me because Manny Pacquiao is not really known for his jab. But he did show a really good surprising jab in that fight. That might be because Chris Algieri, he was so focused on not getting hit by the left hand that he didn't think anything about the jab. And that will leave you open for that weapon. But anyway, that was the only punch I really seen that Manny Pacquiao was landing. But what I started to notice is the more aggressive Manny Pacquiao got and the more punches he missed, the more frustrated he started to become. But the problem is Chris Algieri, he did not take advantage of Manny Pacquiao's frustration. Chris Algieri was really gun shy, throwing maybe one good shot at a time. He was trying to get his rhythm, but once again, the stage may have been too big. The lights may have been too bright for Chris Algieri. Along with that, he didn't really have any power to get Manny Pacquiao's respect. But moving on, I think it was round 4. That was the round that Chris Algieri actually won. And you started to see a little bit of the momentum shift towards Chris Algieri. It started to look like the foot movement, the defense was starting to pay off because Manny Pacquiao had slowed down with his punch output. In a certain way, the way Manny Pacquiao was following, but missing a lot of shots, it kind of reminded me a little bit of the Canelo versus Lara fight. And also the Pacquiao versus Mosley fight. The only difference is in this fight, Manny Pacquiao, he was able to land a lot more punches than Canelo was against Lara and Pacquiao was against Mosley. But fighting against a guy who's constantly moving, and you trying to figure out a way to land punches, it was pretty similar. Once again, I give Manny Pacquiao a lot of credit because Manny Pacquiao started off missing a lot of his power shots. His left hand, he had a very difficult time landing his left hand in the first half of the fight. Now, usually when a fighter is having a problem with accuracy, landing his favorite shots in the first half of a fight, that's usually the beginning of the end. But this fight was the contrary because Manny Pacquiao, he started off struggling landing his favorite shots. And as the fight progressed, then Manny Pacquiao, he started to find his range. He started to land his favorite punch, the left hand. And he almost ended up knocking out Chris Algieri with that left hand. I'm surprised that Manny Pacquiao, he couldn't knock out Chris Algieri because Algieri was out on his feet and it was still a minute left in the round. And I'm referring to the round where, once again, Manny Pacquiao caught Chris Algieri with the left hand flush. I don't remember exactly what round it was. I just know it was around the time that Max Kellerman coincidentally was talking to trainer Tim Lane, and Tim Lane was saying, we're going to knock out Manny Pacquiao. Of course, that's when Algieri gets knocked down and almost knocked out himself, right? But anyway, like I said, I was surprised Manny Pacquiao, he couldn't knock him out, but it was impressive that he knocked him down at least 4 times, you know, by way of a punch. He knocked him down 4 times. He got credit for 6 knockdowns, but 4 of them were real knockdowns, okay? So overall, I thought this was a good performance for Manny Pacquiao, considering who he was in the ring with. Once again, like I said at the beginning of the video, I didn't expect Manny Pacquiao to do what he was supposed to do, but that's what Manny Pacquiao did. Like I also told you guys on previous videos, I said that even though I thought Chris Algieri had a good chance of winning this fight, I also was hoping that Manny Pacquiao will win this fight so that we could get to see Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao. And I truly believe the fight is going to happen. I truly believe it's going to happen. May 5th, May 3rd, whatever it is, Cinco de Mayo weekend, I truly believe the fight is going to happen. I mean, Floyd Mayweather, once again, he's not going to allow any other fighter to outshine him when it comes to trying to take that date from him. Like we already know that Canelo, because we all know that Canelo and Cotto, they're trying to compete with Floyd Mayweather for that date. Now, I've told you guys before, I believe that even if Floyd Mayweather was fighting someone else, he probably still would do better numbers than Cotto or Canelo, because he has a history of doing 10 times better numbers than those guys. But to be on the safe side, it would make way more sense to make the biggest fight that could ever be made in the sport of boxing on a day that someone is trying to compete with you. So hopefully it happens. That's pretty much all I got. I might make another video talking about this, but I'm on to the next one.